Bob and Wendy, you are seeing folks' very first look at this year's haunt. Now, right now, we're waiting for the opening ceremony. It starts at 6:45, and we are in one of the 5 scare zones at the park. And why are we calling this the scare zone? Let's ask one of these guys. Why is this the scare zone? Okay. All right. Okay, so here's what we can expect. Take a look at what we have to expect this year. It's time to turn out the lights and get spooky.
Haunt is all about scaring our guests, right? And giving them an opportunity to enjoy an atmosphere that's a little more thrilling.
Dorney Park's Halloween Haunt is now open for the season.
The sanctuary at Hoffsville in Briningsville is inundated.
So we got a call about a truck that had broken down, and they had 74 dogs on board.
And all 74 are now here, thanks to a truck that was taking the dogs from Texas to Canada, breaking down near Fogelsville. It was stuck on the side of the road for 5 hours.
We put out a Facebook plea in our internal Facebook groups, and everybody showed up. We have an incredible community of volunteers. We have, it looks like probably 70 volunteers here.
We couldn't let them go till tomorrow night, so we just drove them over to our shelter.
All of the dogs do have forever homes in Canada, but now there's no way to get them there.
But their truck is not going to be fixed, so now we're looking for a truck replacement to help them.
The sanctuary at Hoffsville typically takes care of fewer than 20 dogs at a time. Now, on top of taking care of more than 80 dogs, they're also trying to help the shelter whose vehicle broke down.
Father Richard Gendris and I heard the voice of his uncle living in the middle of a now war-torn country.
I could never even think of having such a nightmare. I could never even think of dreaming such a nightmare.
Father Gendris asked us not to show his uncle's face or use his name for fear that he could become a target of the Russian military if he was seen on Western media. Despite the rain, dozens lined the sidewalk in front of the Hatboro Police Department, greeting the motorcycles and Officer Ryan Allen's ambulance with salutes and American flags.
This gloomy morning isn't going to stop these people. And every officer we have and every full-time and part-timer is here.
Horner tells us he was asleep inside his home along Route 222 in Maxitani Township as it all unfolded.
The whole porch has got to be replaced.
And you can see just all the damage here on the porch, debris everywhere. The homeowner tells us this is the 8th time his home has been struck in his 20 years living here.
You know that sound. And then you just wait for the state police and the fire trucks.
Shivarella was last seen right here, walking down Church Street in Hazleton. It was a route she took every day to school, but Marchetti says, tragically, that day was different.
This girl never walked to school with anybody, always with somebody, but that time she wanted to give a little gift to a nun, and she went for herself for that one day,
It's a vivid memory for everybody who lived through this, and it's a vivid memory for everybody who grew up in this area.
For people who did grow up in Hazleton, they might recognize this face. Police say Fort graduated from Hazleton High School. He was a bartender in town and lived on West 14th Street. And years after Shivarella's murder, he was arrested for assaulting a woman in 1974.
He actually pled guilty to aggravated assault and got a year probation.
But state police say Fort will never stand trial for his alleged crimes because he died in 1980 and was buried here at Calvary Cemetery in Butler Township. You can even see where the ground was recently disturbed at his burial site when state police exhumed his body to confirm that it matched their DNA profile. The letters fill the woman's entire kitchen table. All of them showed up in her mailbox Tuesday, each one with a different name.
10 people out there don't know their information is being used to acquire unemployment.
The woman did not want to be identified, but according to the Pennsylvania Labor Department website, she's right to be concerned. It says, quote, signs of fraud include receiving unrequested unemployment paperwork.
This is our home for 18 years. None of those people have ever lived here.
The woman called Allentown Police, who referred her to the Department of Labor. She called their fraud hotline, but was on hold so long she hung up.
How many fraud cases do you possibly have going on that I'm on hold for 45 minutes waiting to speak to somebody?
We called that hotline as well.
Welcome to the Pennsylvania Unemployment Compensation Service Center.
And we waited and waited and waited. Until finally, after an hour and a half, we hung up as well.
Some of them had thrown them away. Some of them, I guess, were returning to sender.
And the woman says that's her plan as well.
I wrote in all capitals, fraud, person does not live at this address, return to sender.
So, since the woman says she can't get through on the unemployment line, she's going to drop them in a post office box like this one, because she says she doesn't want to put them in her own mailbox.
I'm not going to stick it in my mailbox because I feel like somebody's watching my mailbox.
17-year-old Cassidy Matulovich should be in her first week of her senior year at Hazleton Senior High School, preparing to cheer in front of fans for Friday night's football game.
Amazing grace.
But instead, her Butler Township Luzerne County community is saying goodbye. Her cheer coach, Tiffany Yarish, at a candlelight vigil Sunday.
She was so special, and I love her.
And according to court records, a girl who told police she also had a relationship with Myers said he and Matulovich had been arguing about her. Myers, who was arrested at a rest stop along I-81 later that day, is charged as an adult with criminal homicide, among other offenses. For Matulovich, her legacy of leading cheers now includes hugs of support for those mourning her death. Bo Coltnow, 69 News.
Rob, there's still a police presence here in the 300 block of North 9th Street, though not as much as just about a half hour ago. There's still police tape behind me. Police are still focused on a home behind me. This after, like you said, a man was shot in the middle of the day. Several people taken into custody by SWAT teams. Allentown police in tactical teams with rifles drawn, shields up, approaching a home in the 300 block of North 9th Street. They then did the same with a neighboring home. And after about 15 minutes, two men, both zip-tied, and an elderly woman, not cuffed, were taken from the home. And this followed an early afternoon shooting. Witnesses say a man was shot in the intersection of North 9th and Gordon Streets around 12:30. A neighbor says she saw the man then run toward the A1 Mini Mart and collapse near the ice machine. Police could be seen taking pictures of the area. And the entire neighborhood was taped off with police carrying long guns, with a Bearcat tactical truck called in and used when those teams moved in on the homes.
Right, Hastiel, I spoke to Pennsylvania State Police earlier this morning. They were hopeful that by around 12 o'clock today, they'd have I-81 back open. Unfortunately, it's now past 12 o'clock. That's not the case. Take a look behind me. You can see just how much wreckage is still here along the northbound lanes on I-81. Crews have continuously worked through all day yesterday and now into the morning today. Will continue through the afternoon as they work to pick up this devastating scene.
We're still tearing it apart, till we get all the vehicles out of here and make sure we have everything documented and whatnot, and then we'll go from there.
As we pass the 24-hour mark, crews still remain on scene of the deadly pileup on I-81 in Schuylkill County.
This happened in the 100 block of East Broad Street in Hazleton. Firefighters from Hazleton City, Hazel Township, and McAdoo, among others, responded to the scene. The building housed a pawn shop and some other businesses on the ground floor, plus apartments on top. The building appears to be a total loss. No injuries were reported.
Some areas to the north and west of Philadelphia experienced a touch of snow today. In Shenandoah, Schuylkill County, a light dusting accumulated on sidewalks and trees, but winter is not quite here as of yet. In fact, a warm-up is on the way.
Blues, Brews, and Barbecues.
This is Blues, Brews, and Barbecue.
They said it. It's the City of Allentown's 14th annual Blues, Brews, and Barbecue.
It's so nice to see that we have this support in downtown Allentown. It's a great time.
Families and friends came out to Hamilton Street Saturday to enjoy good food, music, and local vendors, even if the temperatures were, well,
hot. It's very hot. Nice weather, even though hot. It's hot, but it feels great to be here.
Fortunately, the city was prepared. The Allentown Fire Department set up a cooling station for people of all ages to enjoy.
For a hot summer day, it's a great idea. I'm glad we're able to be here.
Everyone agreed that having a summer event like this right in the heart of the city for everyone to enjoy was a good move.
But I'm really impressed with how, much downtown has been improved.
It's wonderful. It's good to be back.
Now, whether whether you plan on coming here or going outside for any reason, we want to make sure you stay safe. So make sure you protect your eyes, protect your skin, and as always, stay hydrated. Tonight, we're live in Allentown. I'm Hannah O'Reilly, 69 News.
Matthew Saylor has been growing Appalachian Valley Farm right here on Rextown Road.
This is the most valuable commodity you could have in a local community, if you ask me.
Saylor used this truck as a makeshift chicken coop, and he sells the eggs. But he started to grow a variety of crops as well.
Everything from carrots to red beets, lettuce, lots of greens.
But the past few weeks, Saylor hasn't been thinking about his produce. He's been focusing on 2 citations he received from Washington Township.
This is summons for non-traffic citation that the township sent me.
The township says Saylor has too many chickens.